Hello, fellow aspirants. This is me, Dr. Jagdish Jagtap. In today's podcast, we'll be talking about Mughal architecture. We will see this in extreme details so that once you are done with the course, you will not be required to open any book for that. So let us first begin by looking at the buildings built by Babur, the first Mughal emperor in India. He had a very short rule of only about 4 years. So naturally this dude was like more involved with establishing the empire and then protecting it. So if someone is so busy, he'll definitely not have time to build buildings. So not many of his buildings are of like survive today, but he had a passion for laying gardens, and we can see some gardens which Babur built, that is in Arambagh in Agra, some gardens in Lahore and Kashmir. Moving on to his son's regime, Humayun. Now Humayun, he ruled for the first 10 years. Then he was ousted by the Afghans, that is Sher Khan, and then he lived in exile in Persia for some years, and he came back in around 1555. He won his kingdom back, but even he did not get much time to indulge in architecture, building and other artistic tastes. So we do not have any good buildings from his time. We have his tomb which was built by his wife, but technically speaking this tomb was built in 1564. So technically this is in Akbar's period, but due to some prominent features we are discussing it before discussing Akbar's architecture. So it was built by his widow Hamida Begum. This has some typical features which are worth considering. First and foremost, that it is enclosed by gardens. Now we can see this garden, and this whole tomb has gardens surrounding it. It is a very typical feature. Secondly, it has a double dome. We can see here there is this is the outer dome. Like in this diagram, this is the outer dome, and this is the inner dome. This is the inner dome, and there is empty space over here. This is empty space. So this kind of structure is called as double dome structure. It is built upon a raised sandstone platform. Now this is the raised sandstone platform. We can see this. This entire thing is the raised sandstone platform. Then we have pointed arches at each side, like this is the pointed arch, and it is present at each side, providing entrance to the main chamber. So if you enter through this arch, you will reach the main chamber. And interestingly, this plan is octagonal and connected by diagonal passages. Now if you happen to look at this tomb from a helicopter, you will come to know that it has an octagonal plan. Moving ahead, then we have this period, that is the Sur period, for 15 years. So it is in between the Mughal period. As such, it is a distinct period, but since we are, for the sake of chronological continuity, we will see this architecture now. For the political history, what happened is this fellow Sher Khan, he defeated Humayun, and then he ruled for around 10 years, that is from 1540 to 1550, and then he died, and then his son and successors ruled for 5 years, and then again Humayun defeated his successors and won the kingdom back. So this Sher Khan was a very interesting, intriguing and awesome fellow. He introduced many reforms both in finances, posts, and we can have an entire lecture about Sher Khan's reforms later on. So let us focus upon his architecture now. This is his tomb which he built at Sasaram in Bihar. It has some very distinct features. First, it is surrounded by a pond and it can be reached by a causeway. So this is the causeway, and this is the pond, and this is the pond, and it is built upon a raised plinth on this pond. And he has canopies. Now these are the canopies at each corner of this platform. So this is a square platform. He used the finest quality of Chunar sandstone to construct this. And here we can see a unique feature. So this platform is a square. This platform is a square. This tomb is an octagon, and then the end we have a spherical ending. So there is a harmonious transition from square to octagon to sphere. So this harmony was achieved by the architect, and that is a really big achievement during those times. Sher Shah also built two more buildings, that is the Purana Killa, and in that Purana Killa he built this Qilai-Kuna Masjid. So this is the opening facade of this Qilai-Kuna Masjid, and we can see the use of red sandstone. This is the red sandstone, and then white marble. So we see a prominent use of both this kind of construction materials. So we can see black and red marble and red sandstone. So they are very interestingly used in this construction. Now let us look at Akbar. So if we have to define the pinnacle of Mughal Empire, it was during Akbar's regime. That is why he is called Akbar the Great by many. He had a very long reign, and interestingly, his architecture is characterized by some very prominent features. First and foremost is respect of indigenous techniques. Now this characterized not only his architecture but all aspects of his rule. He had respect for the indigenous techniques. He used red sandstone for construction. His use of arches were more as decorative rather than structural form. And he used trebated form of construction. Now what is trebated form of construction? What earlier Indian architectures do, suppose they want to construct an arc, what they'll do, they'll put two pillars and put up a third pillar here. So this is a trebate form. What the Islamic architecture had, they had like this, such kind of arches. And to achieve this, we had to pile up the different stones, and there is to be a keystone over here. So these were like entirely different kind of arches. So we can see that Akbar used both the trebated and the true arch form. His dome was of the Lodi type, which meant that it was hollow, but never technically of true double order, which we saw in Humayun's tomb. His pillars, which he erected, were multifaceted, and their capitals, like what, suppose, to understand the meaning of capital, we can give the example of our own Ashok Stamba. The lions on that Ashok Stamba are called the capital of the pillar. So whatever capitals on pillars Akbar installed, they were supported by brackets. Now suppose this is the pillar and this is the capital, like some motif, animal motif or some other shape, and then there will be some brackets which support the capital. This is a very technical discussion. If you do not remember this, it's very much okay. Moving ahead, Akbar's first phase, like Akbar's architecture can be divided into two phases. In the first phase, he constructed Agra Fort, and in that Delhi Gate, and in the second phase, he constructed Fatehpur Sikri. So this is the Delhi Gate. This is the Delhi Gate. It is the principal entrance to Agra Fort. It shows a lot of originality, and we can see it has octagonal towers. Now these towers are octagonal. Like if you analyze the shape of it from above, they'll appear octagonal. And in this we can see white marble is inlaid against red sandstone. So this is white marble, this is red sandstone, and the kayaks and pinnacles on the terraces at backside. So if we look at this gate from behind, which we cannot do in this image, we can see kiosks. Now kiosk is like nothing but a chhatri. If you have to call it in Hindi, you can call it a chhatri, like umbrella kind of structure, like this, and they are there at the back side. So this was Akbar's first major construction. Later on, he also, in this Agra fort only, this is Jahangir Mahal, it is present in Agra fort only, and it gives an insight into the residential buildings of the rulers, like what kind of apartments or what kind of residential buildings they constructed for themselves. We can get a very good idea of that. Secondly, Akbar also built a fort at Ajmer, and that fort had double walls because of its frontier location. At that time, it was located at the edge of the empire, so definitely it had to be really well fortified to defend it against the invaders. Now let us look at the second phase of Akbar's rule, that is the Fatehpur Sikri. It was built within a short span of 14 years. For such a large city, it was built relatively shortly. Here he used red sandstone, and as such we do not see any conscious overall plan. It looks a bit haphazard. There are three categories of building. First is the religious building, and they have arcuate arches. In the few previous slides we understood what the meaning of arcuate and trabecuate. A true arch like this is called as an arcuate. And the three buildings were Jama Masjid, Buland Darwaza, and Tomb of Sarim Chishti. We will see them in detail in the next slides. Similarly, we had some secular architecture like the Panch Mahal, the Chotabhai Palace, the Diwani Khas, Diwani Am, Ibadat Khana, and so on. And finally, there are some miscellaneous structures like Hathi Pole, Caravanserais, but they are not that important as the earlier ones. So let us first look at the Buland Darwaza. This is the Buland Darwaza. Beyond this, there is the Jama Masjid. If you enter through this, you will reach the Jama Masjid. So this was built to commemorate Akbar's victory over Gujarat. So this is actually a Buland Darwaza. You can see these are the people here in the photograph, and then look at the scale of this Darwaza. So this is the person here. Just imagine the height and the massiveness of this Darwaza. So this was built by Akbar. Secondly, we have Jama Masjid, and this is the tomb of Salim Chishti. Now this was Akbar's construction in marble. This is entirely in marble. So all of them are in Fatehpur Sikri, and these are the religious buildings. Now let us go to the secular buildings. So this is the Panch Mahal. Panch Mahal. We can see here, this is the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 stories here, so it is called the Panch Mahal. And it is a very interesting design, where successively the area of the Mahal goes on decreasing, and finally till we reach a single kiosks or a single chhatri over there, or a single umbrella. This is the Diwani Khas, and somewhere here there is the Ibadat Khana. So this was the place where Akbar held debates with the religious scholars, and this is where he formulated his thesis of Tawhid-e-Ilahi and his religion of Din-e-Ilahi. So a very intellectual place also to say. We have the Diwani Am over here, and this is the Anup Talab. Legend has it that Tansen used to sing over here, and somewhere here Akbar used to sit and listen. Like this was his bedroom chambers, and from there he used to listen. Like he lived a really awesome life. So thanks a lot. What the remaining parts are Shahjahan and Jahangir's rules, and Aurangzeb, and what all they built. So if we have, we'll continue that in the subsequent lectures. So if you have any queries, write them in the comments. I'll reply as soon as possible. Thanks a lot and have an awesome day.